Thanks, Goose. A few weeks ago, Good Game was in Melbourne to document This Gaming Life, a collaboration between Journey composer Austin Wintory, the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra, and comedy trio Tripod.
And you can expect to see that special sometime in the near future. But while we were there, we took the time to talk to Austin about composing for games and his beautiful score for Journey.
I always played games and I always did music, so the two kind of were going to meet at some point. As it turns out, they met in college when I worked on a master's thesis game called Flow, which later became a commercial game called Flow, made by that game company who went on to make Flower and Journey after that. Journey, I worked on it from the very, very beginning. There wasn't even concept art yet when I started. So the game took about 3 years to make, and I worked on it every day of those 3 years. Initially, they said, write the music, and then we'll design the game around the emotions we get from your music. So I would write a piece, and they would all put it on loop in their headphones while they're working, and writing code and doing art and all the rest of it. And then I would play what they'd make inspired by my music, and I would say, this is much more interesting than the music that I wrote, so I want to redo the music to kind of catch up with what you've done. You know, like early in the game, when you first meet up with somebody, the rhythm changes because now you're with someone, and suddenly there's this new energy that the game has. Even if that person has no idea what they're doing and they're walking in circles, there's a certain vibrancy that comes out. And so you don't really know what that's like until you just experience it. After experiencing it, I'll say, oh, I think I have an idea about this. So I'd rewrite the music inspired by what they made. They'd then listen to what I made, the new version, and say, this actually gets to the heart of it much better. Let's remake the game. So they would remake the game based on the new music. Of course, I'd then play that, and I'd say, oh, actually, I can do much better than that crap music before. And so we were doing this like this until basically Sony intervened and said, the game has to come out now. It's been 3 years. I would be happily still working on it today if we just had been given no release date. I loved every day of it. The fundamental separation between games and all other forms of composing, whether it's writing an opera or a symphony or a film score or you name it, is that games are interactive and none of those others are. And so you don't know what the audience, i.e. the player, is going to do from one moment to the next. The interactive quality basically makes you have to rethink everything you know about music. Music is an art form that happens over time. It's unlike a painting, say, where the painting, you can look at it in all different lighting and you can look at it for 5 minutes or for 2 hours or from far away, from close up. You're kind of at the mercy of time when listening to music because time just goes. And if there's a moment that you love, it's now a memory. And there's nothing you can do about that. Games twist that concept because by being interactive, suddenly time doesn't necessarily constantly flow forward in the same way. So if time is the single most important quality about music, games kind of make you rethink that. So it's a really fundamental change. After the game came out, it ended up speaking to people in ways that I didn't expect, and people brought it into their lives in a very personal way. And I started getting floods of messages from people. And like, for example, one thing that happened that's a real highlight. I was with my parents and they had been seeing online all this mania about Journey, but they didn't have a PlayStation, they hadn't played it, they didn't know what it was about other than what they could read in reviews. And I started to tell them about some stories of the kinds of letters we were getting. And in that moment, my phone dings and I get another letter from someone. And it was a woman talking about how her father had been sort of succumbing to dementia and had become very hard to be around because she said, I love him, but he's not him anymore. And so I find him so difficult to be around that I end up just feeling angry. And then I played the game and I just realized it's my job to love him unconditionally. And I'm sitting there reading this seconds after finishing the game, and it was just one of those moments where I thought that you can't put a price on that. That goes beyond the wildest ambitions we might have even had for the game. And I've been lucky to have a lot of wonderful experiences in my career, but I don't know how I'll ever top that.